Earlier on, we looked at assigning values to variables. In each of those examples, a variable had a single value, a string value like Tom, or a numerical value like the current date, or an increment number in a loop. Let's suppose we want to store a set of employee records. We could try to do this using a series of individual variables of the sort we used earlier. For instance, $firstname equals Michael, $lastname equals Thompson, $payroll number equals 51687, or whatever, $salary equals 26,000. But the problem with this method is that it's only any good for one employee. Once we have more employees, we'd have to set up different variable names for each one, like $firstname 2, $lastname 2, etc. This would rapidly become unmanageable, and there'd be no clear relationship between these many individual variables. We solve this using arrays. An array is a type of variable which can contain sets of multiple values in a structured list. In this video, we'll look at how arrays are set up and how we can return the values stored in them. As always, the completed versions of the files we'll make are in the working files, should anything go wrong. In Komodo Edit, save a new PHP file as arrays.php in PHP demos. Start by printing out a top-level heading for the page using echo, and then inside double quotes h1 enclosing methods of returning data from arrays. We'll use h2 tags to head lists of all employees and h3 tags for the titles of individual employees. To set up an array to store the employee data in the example earlier, first name, last name, payroll and salary, we'd use $employee1 for the first employee equals array, and then in parentheses, and then in double quotes a comma-separated list of values, Michael, Thompson, 51687, 26,000. Let's put in a title for our results, echo, and then in h3 tags, details of employee 1 brackets manual method, so that when we read the output from this file, we know which method we're looking at, because it's all going to look rather similar. And then we can return the values from the array using a series of echo statements, just as we learnt about earlier. To make a nice list, we'll do echo and then in double quotes first name with a colon and a space, a concatenating dot, then the name of the array, $employee1, and then the index value of the first record, which is the first name. So in this case, it's going to be Michael. Another concatenating dot, and then inside double quotes, a line break tag. Echo surname, employee1, square brackets, 1. Echo payroll number, $employee1, square brackets 2. Echo salary, and a $sign or a pound sign, employee1, square brackets 3. This is called a numerically indexed array, because we access each value by referencing it using a numerical index, starting from 0. So $employee1, square bracket 0, returns the first element in the array, the first name. There are 4 elements altogether in this array, so the last one, salary, is referenced using $employee1, square brackets 3. Because we have that index number, which increments from 0 to 3 as we go through the array, this would be a perfect opportunity to use a loop to shorten the code and automate the process of getting the data printed out, just as we learnt earlier on in the course. We need to know how many elements there are in the array, and we get that information by using the PHP function count, wrapped around the array name with parentheses, and assigning the result to a variable. $count equals count, and then in parentheses, $employee1. If we temporarily echo the result of that out using echo $count, we'll see that it's given us the total number of elements, 4, not the highest index number, which is 3. Comment that line out or delete it and put in a second title for this method of getting the results. Echo, and then h3 tags, details of employee 1, brackets, loop method. We can now use the value of $count to write a for loop, just as we did before, using for, and then inside parentheses, $x equals 0, $x less than $count, $x plus plus, to increment the value of $x, and then curly braces. $x is the name for our incrementing number, which starts at 0, the first index number in the array, and stops when it's less than $count. As the value of $count is 4, as we've just seen, it will stop at 3, which is the highest index value in the array. Exactly what we need. $x plus plus increments the value of $x by 1 each time the loop runs. Inside the braces, put echo $employee1, that's the array name, and then inside the square brackets, $x. And then concatenating dot, and then HTML line break tags, BR tags. This increments the value of the index number each time the loop runs. So it prints out the value of $employee1, index 0, the first name, the first time through the loop, $employee1, index 1, the surname, the next time through the loop, until it gets to index 3, which is the salary, and then the loop stops. You can temporarily put in the line echo and then inside single quotes so that the variable name is printed out and not its value, $x equals, and a space, concatenating dot, and then $x, and then another concatenating dot, and a space. And then it'll print out $x and its value, just so that we can see that $x is incrementing each time. And we don't need that, so once you've seen it, you can delete that line. Now we can go one step further and use arrays to store not just one employee record, but many. Below the line assigning values to $employee1, set up 2 more employee records called $employee2 and $employee3. And we'll insert the data $employee2 equals array, and then inside double quotes the list of values James, Rasmussen, 19875 and 15,000. And $employee3 equals array, inside the parentheses and inside the double quotes, Henry, Foggett, 19810, 150,000. And then add the line $employees equals array, and then inside parentheses with no quotes, because these are variables, $employee1, $employee2, $employee3, separated by commas. This adds the contents of all 3 employee arrays to a new array, $employees. So now we have an array of arrays, a multi-dimensional array. To return the first name of employee 1 manually, we would use $employees, and then in square brackets 0, and then in another set of square brackets another 0. The first 0 refers to the first employee record in the employees array, and the second 0 refers to the first record inside that particular employee's record. Here's a little question for you to think about. What pair of index numbers would return the salary of Henry Foggett? See if you can tell me the answer in the next 5 seconds. And the answer is $employees index 2, index 3. To return all the data in the $employees array manually, we'd use echo $firstname $employees 00, echo surname $employees 01, echo payroll number $employees 02, echo salary $employees 03, echo first name $employees 10, echo surname $employees 11, echo payroll number $employees 12, echo salary employees 13. We are iterating through each of the employee arrays in turn using the first index number, and within that we're going through each of those records returning each item of data, first name, last name, etc. As you can see, this is very repetitive code, and if we had an array with not 3 employees with 4 records each, but several hundred employees with many records in each, it would be completely unusable. What we need is a way of looping twice through these arrays, first through the outer one, the list of employees, and then within each employee through all the details about that person. If you managed to do the homework on loops earlier, you did exactly this by running one loop inside another. Start out by putting in a title so that we can read the output easily. Echo, and then in H2 tags, details of all employees, brackets double loop method. First, set up a count for the employees array using $employee count equals count, then in parentheses $employees, the outer array. Then start an outer loop by using $y as the incrementing number. For $y equals 0, semicolon, $y less than $employee count, semicolon, $y plus plus, and then the braces. This starts at 0, which will return the employee array with index 0, and it runs up to less than the value of employee count. The value of employee count is 3, because there are 3 records, 3 employee records, so it will stop at 2, giving us the correct indices, 0, 1 and 2 for our 3 employee arrays. And then $y plus plus increments it by 1 each time the loop runs. Now let's print out a title for each employee. Echo, and then in H3 tags, detail of employee inside double quotes, concatenating dot, and then in parentheses, $y plus 1. Another concatenating dot, and then inside double quotes, close off the H3 tag. This will return $y, the count variable, but with 1 added to it, so that it matches our employee numbers, not their indices, because the numbers, the reference numbers, are 1 more than the index in the array. Then we do the inner loop, which is exactly the same as before. For $x equals 0, $x less than $count, $x plus plus, curly braces. But this time, inside the second loop, we need to reference 2 index numbers. The first one identifying first the 0th, and then the first, and then the second employee record, and within that, looping through each data record for every employee, in the same way as we did manually earlier. We do this using echo $employees, and then in separate square brackets, $y and $x, and concatenate that onto an HTML line break tag inside double quotes. Close off both sets of braces, save the file, and refresh it in your browser. And that works. We have a list of all the employees and their details, with code which does not need to be changed however big the data record becomes. What we've lost in using the loop to return the data is the ability to name each array element as we did the first time, where we manually printed out first name, colon, and then the name, surname, and then the surname, salary, etc., using concatenated echo commands. To do this using a loop, we have to put those names inside the array itself, otherwise they can't be found anywhere. These are called keys, so the array will consist of a series of key value pairs. This is then called an associative array. We create an associative array by using the syntax key name and then the equals and greater than symbol and then the value. And each pair has to be separated by commas in the array. Save the file with the new name associativearray.php. And change the 3 lines at the top of the file where we create the data for each of the arrays so that each line consists of a series of key value pairs separated by commas using first name, last name, payroll ID and salary as the names of the keys. Tidy up this file by deleting everything from the first title right down to the bottom of the code, excluding the closing PHP tag, and pressing delete. Now we can use a different type of loop, the for each loop, to return both the key names and their associated values. To see this in action in a single loop first, type in for each and then inside parentheses $employee1 as $key equals and the greater than symbol $value. End the parentheses, open up curly braces. Instead of looping through the numerical indices, this will loop through the keys and return both the keys and their associated values. Inside the braces, type in another echo command, concatenating $key and $value, with a colon in double quotes in between to make a list. Echo $key, concatenating dot, double quotes, colon, space, concatenating dot, value, concatenating dot, double quotes, line break tag, and the double quotes, semicolon. And this will print out all employee 1's details. The beauty of this over the manual method is that no matter how many key value pairs the array may contain, the whole array will always be printed out. We won't need to add to the code. Let's make this work for all employees now. Start out by echoing another series of equals to make a space, and then inside H2 tags, the title details of all employees, brackets, associative array. Then count the size of the employees array using employee count equals count employees. And that'll tell us how many variables, actually arrays, there are inside the employees array. And below that, we set up our outer loop, which is exactly the same as we did before. This time we're using $x. We start at 0, so that's going to be the 0th index number of the employees array. It's going to be less than employee count, so it's going to go up to 2, not 3, and we're going to increment 1 to it each time the loop runs. That. Then the inner loop's exactly the same as before, so you can select it and copy and paste it inside the outer loop. Just tidy up the indentation. Save the file and refresh it in your browser, and you'll notice there's a mistake. We haven't got details of all employees. We've got Michael Thompson, the first one, coming round over and over again. Can you spot the problem? If you're good at debugging, which you'll get increasingly good at the more you do this sort of thing, you will have spotted that the for each loop has an error in it. It has $employee1, the array name, hard-coded into it, so it doesn't loop through the different employee records, but just repeatedly prints out the same one each time. To correct that, we need to change $employee1 to $employees, and then, in brackets, the index number, $x, and then it will loop through all the records as intended. Save and refresh the file in your browser, and you'll see it's working properly now, but the formatting is pretty awful. Finally, I'm going to leave it up to you as homework to format the output of both the files that we've just made, so that you get some practice at the same time in combining HTML and PHP code in concatenated strings. So this is some work on what we did earlier on concatenation. I want you, for homework, to change the formatting so that it looks like this. Insert a level 3 heading entitled Details of Employee 1, 2, 3, etc., which automatically counts up as the loop is repeated. Below each level 3 heading, indent the employee records so that it's stepped in from the left, using a margin left setting of 40 pixels. To do this indentation, you'll need to wrap the employee's details in span tags, using the code span style equals margin left, colon 40 pixels, and close the span tag at the end of the line. Finally, in the right place, insert another line break so as to set each employee record apart from the next. You'll need to very carefully put into practice what you learnt about the dot concatenation operator and using single quotes to enclose double or double to enclose single. And the completed code is in the working files.